Hey, what's up, everyone? Hope you're all doing really well. This is going to be the last video I make for 2017. I'm going to be traveling for a few weeks, so won't have time to make anything until next year, but still wanted to wish everyone a happy holidays, happy new year, and send everyone off well. So didn't have time to make a full-fledged video here, so I kind of just dumped some thoughts onto the document. I made this pretty fast, so sorry if it looks a little crude. But anyways, I just wanted to wrap up the year and talk about what happened this past year in a really high level. So without further ado, let's just go through this kind of thought train I had. But Happy New Year. That's the important part. So I want to start by just saying what kind of happened. How was 2017 in terms of tech, software, programming? I know many people that watch my channel are probably new, maybe beginner level. I think the majority of people are. And if you've been living under a rock, or if you haven't been living under a rock for the past few years, you probably know that tech is trending a lot. It was trending in 2016. It's still trending in 2017. We have an HBO show. We have boot camps. We have Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos in the news. They're like gods to everyone now. Tech feels like very mainstream. It feels very accessible. It feels very cool. And even the word tech is trendy. So what does this all mean? So this whole idea of tech is trending, right? This major idea of this video, tech is trending. What you can also interpret it as is that I just think right now there's a huge demand for developers and it's rising a lot. I think everyone feels that, and that's why everyone's kind of drawn to tech and programming a lot more just in the past 5 years. But 2017 is no different. The demand for developers keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And then with that, there's always a supply to fulfill and meet that demand, right? You have increase in demand in something, somebody's going to try to take advantage of that and provide the supply. And while this all sounds really good, we're in the trend. If you're in tech, if you're a programmer, it all sounds really good. But there's also a lot of things to be cautious about in times of trend, in my opinion. So what do we have to actually be cautious about? But the one question that is at the root of a lot of this, I thought, was that what's fueling the developer supply? And the major fuel for that whole supply is just a ton of advertising. And I might make it sound like advertising is a bad thing, but advertising and marketing are not bad things. They're actually just a straight up a part of life. You need advertising and marketing to sell anything and make the world go around. For all the developers out there, how many times, let me ask you the question, how many times have you built something you thought was really cool, only you couldn't get anyone else to use it? You just thought it was cool. The result of that is that you just didn't know how to market or advertise what you built. And it's really hard. So before I get too cynical with this video and start talking smack about advertising, I don't want to understate it. Advertising and marketing is not a trivial thing, and never underestimate it, okay? It's actually very difficult, especially for people who are very analytical. So I don't want to discount this at all. It's extremely important. Moving on. So what do I think? So advertising, if you advertise really hard and you have the product or service to back it up, it's all good. I have it green. Green means all good. But if you're advertising really hard and you don't have something to back it up, or you're hiding something and you don't show what you got, then you got to be careful. All right. So advertising is kind of surface level, right? It's how you present your product or your service to the external world, and you're always going to present it well. And if you got the inside to back it up, then you're good. You're green. Otherwise, you got to be careful. So this is what we want to talk about, right? When should you actually be careful with this advertising? And I think in the tech world, you have to be careful more often these days, in like 2017, probably next year, probably the next 5 years. So the number one new form of advertising that everyone is susceptible to now is the advertising for your career and for your learning. And this one is really dangerous because it has financial ties. It like takes your time. It's huge responsibility, stuff like this. So number one thing the past few years is this whole idea of boot camps, right? How many times have you guys heard this line, like study for 6 months, get paid $100,000 a year, or become a full stack software developer in 3 months or 4 months? Like that's straight up advertising, okay? They're advertising learning and they're advertising a career for you, like an easy entry into this super lucrative career. And is it really that easy? You have to ask yourself, right? So you have to be careful with stuff like this because this is advertising for your career. Likewise, there's also a ton of advertising I see for your learning. So how many times have you seen a class that sounds like this? It's like everything you ever need to know about Python or everything you ever need to know about JavaScript, okay? Let me just tell you, that one class is not everything you need to know about Python, right? Obviously, they're still trying to get you to use that class. So just be cautious of that because I think this style of advertising with career and learning is potentially the most dangerous for you personally. So that's why I put it number one. Number two, it's more just me talking shit. It's not as important, but advertising also comes in the form of companies, and you have to take this with a grain of salt, right? So these days, any company that puts the word tech in their name automatically becomes better somehow. But really, like, do they really become better? So, like, healthcare company versus healthcare tech company, or hamburger company versus hamburger tech company, juice company versus juice tech company. And I guarantee you, somewhere in Silicon Valley, someone has made all these silly companies on the right. Like somebody in Silicon Valley has definitely made a juice tech company and got millions of dollars for it. So what does that really mean? Like it's a little BS in my opinion, but this is just a lot of the fluff and the hype, even around businesses and around businesses using tech to their advantage these days. And I read this other article this past year, but this past year, obviously, Bitcoin and crypto, that's been blowing up just the past few months. But in 2017, there's a handful of companies. There's actually a cool article about this, but there was like a few companies that all they did was put the word blockchain or put the word Bitcoin at the end of their company name, and their company just grew like 200, 300, 400% in value for nothing, for just putting the name in their company. And if you guys were around, like probably in the 2000, this is exactly what happened in the .com. When everyone put .com or whatever, .net in the 2000 crash, and they increased their valuation like crazy, it's the same exact analogy here. And it's already happening with tons of companies using blockchain or Bitcoin to do the same. So there's like this funny article listing all these companies that like tripled in value just by adding one word to their name. So obviously that's not right. The last type of advertising I want to talk about is just advertising tech itself. You know, tech is supposed to be pure. You can't dispute it. You know, it's a language. It's designed by developers. It's very pure. But actually, these days, I don't think it's so pure anymore. I think it's lending itself to be more like just trying to sell it to you. You're being sold stuff. So how many times have you heard these kind of absolute phrases like React is the best JavaScript library, or XYZ is the worst JavaScript library, or this language is the best language to learn, that language is the worst language to learn, machine learning will solve everything? But one thing that's a little scary for me is that I like to think that tech in itself is pure and people take it for what it is and for what it isn't, which is also important. But these days, tech itself is being advertised to you. It's like crypto can solve anything, or like blockchain technology can solve anything. But really, can it? Like, you got to ask yourself that question. So be wary, because tech, I don't think it's as pure as it used to be, and it's just becoming advertised to go with the trends. But to close out this video, I just want to give my only warning for all this stuff. This is kind of a cynical video. I'm being a little, sad. I'm not very positive in this video, but my only warning for 2017 is that everyone that's watching, especially if you're a beginner, you're just starting your journey into programming or whatever, always stay very aware and conscious of when you are being overly advertised to. Just always stay alert to that. Because again, I'm going to say this again, if you're advertising real hard and you have the product to back it up, it's all good. But if you're advertising real hard and you don't have something to back it up, you got to be careful, because advertising creates allure, right? It's something attractive, it's something sexy, it's something accessible, you can make a ton of money, it's something easy. And that's when you have to be very, very careful about it. And I think tech is kind of going too close to that dangerous level of advertising, because I hope it doesn't get this bad, but I kind of compared it to the advertising for fitness and weight loss, right? Look at the fitness industry. There's so many like pills and diets and easy plans to lose like 50 pounds. But if you ask anyone who takes fitness seriously or has ever lost a lot of weight, it's not easy and it's not fast, right? So I hope tech never gets to the level of fitness or weight loss advertising. But if it does, you have to be really careful. So that's my last point. But anyways, to make this video a little less sad, what's my conclusion for 2017? But always remember, the ultimate purpose of all this advertising stuff, you're gonna be seeing it much more now and into the future, but the ultimate purpose of all this advertising is to feed the trending tech business. All right, and unfortunately you can't avoid it. I'm not going to be able to avoid it. You can't avoid it. It's always there. You can't avoid advertising. It's subconscious to a level. But I think the best thing you can do is you have to actively take all in. Don't try to block the advertising, because sometimes it's advertising good things, but take all of it in, all that stuff, all that news you hear, just take it all in and arrive at your own conclusion about it. So, you know, all the questions you ask in the comments and the emails, you probably ask a lot of people, because these are natural questions to ask, but all these questions like, what book do I read? What do I study? What language do I learn? Do I go to this boot camp? Do I want to work at this startup? Do I want to work at whatever place? Like, do you really think you'll be satisfied getting an answer to any of those questions just by accepting some kind of advertising or accepting the trends? You probably won't be satisfied with the answer to any of those questions if you just kind of follow what everyone else is doing. You will only be satisfied with the answer to these questions if you just arrive at that answer yourself from your own research. That's actually the purest way to be satisfied with answering any of these questions. And I know everyone's thinking about these questions. So even if I tell you in a video, I tell you exactly what book you should read, or I tell you exactly what to study, you shouldn't listen to me, because that's just my opinion of what you should do. And that's probably wrong. So anyways, just wrapping up the video, some random thoughts about 2017. I apologize if the video was a little random, if the document was a little random. I'm going to share the document. Please, everyone, have a great year. Hope you enjoy the new year as well. Don't drink too much. Stay responsible. Please like the video. Ask me any question. I'll answer it. Please give me a like, share the video, and I'll see everyone in 2018. All right? Take care.